Hey, what's up, party people? We are live. The new show, it's called Reverse Polarity. We'll talk about the name in a minute. I'm your boy, High Five Vega. I'm joined by Dean, the man who never sleeps, a.k.a. the captain of cable management, a.k.a. the Tech Flex Titan. What's up, Dean?
I'm going to throw my wife under the bus right away and just say the reason why I never sleep is because she snores like a freight train and it keeps me up.
Yeah, my wife does too. Put it
So
on
yeah,
wax.
I log more couch hours. The worst thing is when you're editing and you're done and you're like looking forward to going to bed and because I edit on the couch. So it's like then I get in the room and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So I got to go back to the couch where I was editing and it's like, God.
So you're so tired you can't keep your eyes open?
Yeah, oh, there's that, dude. I've fallen asleep on my keyboard before. I'll be editing. I'll be like this. I'll have my hands on the keys, and my wife will be like, dude, just go to bed. I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. It's like that sign where that guy's hugging his twirly sign, and the girlfriend comes out and says, you fell asleep with your son. You go, no, I didn't.
Yeah. That reminds me of my wife. But if she starts to drink a little too much, I'm like, are you drunk? No, I'm not drunk. I'm just tipsy. When she says that, you know that she's drunk.
Yeah.
It's her tale. So tonight we have topics, but I wanted to start off with something different. Let's just call it quick fire questions. You can answer, it's just this or that. We're both nerds, so I know you're going to know all these.
Wow.
I'm just going to start it off. There is no wrong answers. So just pick your answer here.
Okay.
We'll start it off with one of the most controversial. Baby
great.
Yoda or Jar Jar Binks?
You know how much I hate Baby Yoda.
You like Jar Jar Binks better?
I will take Misa Jar Jar Binks. Oh, did you catch The Boring Life?
Yes, I did.
And you saw me strangle him in the video.
I did. so you're going with Jar Jar.
I will take Jar Jar. That didn't bother me because, at the end of the day, as big of a fan as I am of Star Wars is for kids. Okay. Yeah. I'm an old person, and when I was a kid, I fell in love with Star Wars. Nothing has changed. The only thing is I've gotten older and can afford to buy way too much shit now. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it from that 10-year-old eyes and be like, and to me, everyone hates Jar Jar, that's fine, but he adds the little bit of annoyance to that show that it needed because the Qui-Gon Jin, whatever, and Obi-Wan Kenobi were way too stiff, and you needed something to take you away from the scary Darth Maul. So,
yeah. You led right into my next question, man.
Okay,
Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon Jin?
So I'm a big Liam Neeson fan. Rob Roy was awesome, and I have all the take-ins, and I just, I'll just watch whatever he puts out. Hey, I'm Scottish.
Okay, that's a correct answer.
Yeah, and Ewan McGregor just.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good, and was he in The Last King of Scotland? Was that him? I don't remember if that was him or not. That was a good movie, though.
Yeah, he's got a vampire movie.
Oh no, he wasn't in that. That was the guy that played the guy from X-Men, the Professor X. Oh yeah, second X-Men. Yep.
I can't think of his name. All right, Padme or Leia?
I'm gonna. Okay, so did you ever see Leon? Or in the U.S. it was called The Professional.
Yes.
Okay, so she was like 12 in that movie. And so, it's like, and then she did Star Wars, and you're like, wow, she grew up. So it's hard to, so the adult in me looked at her and it's like, I can't. And then, you go, well, Leia was like, she was like 18 when she started. Well, I was like 10. So, I don't really. If we go actress, which I think played a better role, like was a better actor, I think the new girl is doing a much better job than either one of them did.
Yeah.
But I mean, I probably would pick Padme just because I liked her better as an actress.
Okay.
Plus the whole postcard from the Edge thing just really turned me on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Which one do you like?
I like Slave Leia.
Okay, so I follow. Sorry, guys, we'll get the car audio in a minute. Yeah. I follow this girl on Instagram. She's called Lady Fett.
Yeah,
and she has a Boba Fett helmet and a Slave Leia outfit that she wears.
Oh,
and that's like her thing, and it's freaking hilarious. And
Yeah,
of course, she has 1 million followers because whatever. Can imagine why. All right, go ahead.
All right, this one's off the Star Wars.
Okay.
We're on to with something you may or may not. I'm sure you know about it. Dobby or Gollum?
Ooh,
That's a tough one, ain't it?
Yeah, because so Gollum is just creepy, but Haley really enjoyed Gollum because she just freaked her out, but she really liked Dobby. And I'm definitely a bigger Harry Potter fan. Like, I've read all the books. Like, if I go down just a little, you can't see them behind the pillow. I've read all the Harry Potter books, and I have the castles literally right there. So I'm gonna go Dobby.
Yeah, man, that all the way. Yeah. That one was because Gollum is actually also. Yeah. All right, this one caused a lot of controversy on my page.
Okay,
I know what you're gonna answer. iPhone or Android?
Remember last week when we talked about if you're not on my team, you suck?
Yeah.
That, believe it or not, the Android iPhone conversation is where that kind of started, because obviously being in industry, and this is where we talk about car stereos, when a customer walks in and you're getting ready to talk about a radio, the first question you would ask is Android or iPhone. Going back all the way to when we were just doing Bluetooth, it was like, what kind of phone do you have? And then it became Android or iPhone. And it wasn't the fact that I'm an Apple guy. So I mean that's neither here nor there. I don't shy away from it. This is a MacBook Pro. I have a MacBook Air. Fernando has a MacBook Pro. I have an Apple Watch. All the girls have Apple Watches. They have MacBook Pros. I have iMacs and iPads, and I have an e-machine up in the attic that I still have. So I mean I'm that guy. But the thing of it is, it's like it always became that question of, what are you? And it would be like, oh, I'm an Android guy, and it was always funny because the Apple guys always seemed a little bit laid back, and they'd be like, okay, I hate it when I'm in a closed, I like an open thing, and it's like, open, oh, okay, and it's like. And they would always say these things that just never made any sense to me. And it's like, I had an iPhone once. It was terrible. And what did you have? I had a 3S. Oh, well. Okay. But there again, a phone is a tool, and just like when we talk about DSPs and we say, just download the software, see what makes sense. Or they say, which one do you like, Kenwood or Pioneer? It's like, well, see if you can play with the operating system and see what makes sense to you. It's no different. I mean, if you can wrap your head around Android phones and that works, and that's like all the little things are where they're at and they're supposed to be, well, then use an Android phone. There's plenty of awesome Android phones out there that have way cooler shit than Apple makes. Yeah. But like me, I have other stuff to do in my life that doesn't involve this. Like I don't want to have to worry about, is this thing going to boot up today? I mean, what am I waiting for? I just need to I open my laptop, I design stuff on the laser, I close my laptop, I go back to work. I don't, anytime I have to open one of the Windows machines, it's like I got to sit there and I got to wait. And then I'm going to get a pop-up that says something stupid. And there again, I don't know the operating system enough to be like, oh, you could just turn that off. It's like, okay, where? Yeah. So, that's that. So iPhone.
Yeah. Me too, man. People forget that. At the end of the day, I can do all these things, but what I cannot do on Android is hardware acceleration for editing video and also just the camera. I can use my M50 or I can use the iPhone, and people really can't even tell the difference.
Well, the boring life is shot on the iPhone.
Yeah.
We still have a couple cameras we use. When we were on vacation, we used the M6 Mark II, I guess what's called. We use that for a lot of that. Just because it's like, let's just play with it and see what it does. But most of the time it's the iPhone, because it's in my pocket and we can whip it out real quick. Oh, that sounded good. And have some fun with it.
Yeah, cool. So, I think we're ready to get into some kind of car audio talk. But let me
do this.
Let me thank the guys here.
Yep.
They get us the super chats. Carrier, what's up? Yeah. It happens.
Yeah,
it's not just us. It's not just us.
Dude, we bought all the stuff, like, you know, the dentist stuff and the whole the mouthpieces. It's like, yeah, just here's my wallet. Buy as much of that crap as you want.
Do you do the like when she starts snoring out? Do you do like the wiggle on the bed?
No, I grab the pillow and just yank her head. You kidding me?
I've put things behind her back because it's when she lays flat on her back. So I try to put something there so she can't roll all the way back.
I'm mean. I don't care. I just shut up, please. Let me get some sleep. You know. But it's a game we play. Dean, I hope to hear from you soon. Always love the content. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Cool.
Might be waiting for a phone call.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happens a lot of times at work is I'll, you know, if we get done early one day, I'll have like a list of Paul come over and be like, can you make like 10 phone calls? And I'll be like, okay. So I have to go sit in the back and have my notepad, and I basically talk and take orders, and then I rip it off and I give it to him, and I go, okay, here you go, take care of the rest.
Oh, what's going on? They're talking about some glitching.
I wonder if it's my mic. Can you hear me okay?
No, it seems fine to me. I haven't had one glitch yet.
Yeah, I haven't had.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we'd be surprised it's YouTube.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, now you're glitching. Guys. You spoke too soon.
Uh-oh. Is it? Am I doing like if I do the robot, does it look natural or? All right. Let me get into one of these questions we had here. Matt V sent us a couple good questions. One of them is, where did Dean and you get your 12-volt training? Is it self-taught, MECP classes, trial and error, on the job training, etc., and so on?
You want to go first?
Yeah, man. Mine's simple. The School of Hard Knocks. That's all. That's all I got.
Oh gosh, come on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I never.
Well, I mean, okay, so you start. Yeah. I mean, you started with, you know, your brother's stereo, what you were saying last week, right?
Yeah. Your brother-in-law's, yeah.
That was kind of like your like dive into it. For me, it was high school. You know, we started in high school. I got my first job back in the July of 1990. Was my first job, and I was at that place for 21 years. So over the course of 21 years, you pick up a thing or two. But you know, back then, there was no internet. There was no internet. Okay, so wrap your head around that. There was no internet back in 90. Whatever it wasn't what we have now. MECP did exist, but you know, if like you had to know somebody that knew somebody that was like, hey, you know, there's this thing. And that wasn't anything we knew anything about. So you just kind of on the job learning. I mean, granted, it was a lot easier back then. It was nowhere near as hard as it is now. You know, it was funny because like alarm manufacturers would put out these phone books. And in the side of these phone books, they had the wiring diagrams for every car. And then every year they'd send you new phone books because there was no internet. You couldn't do searches. So a buddy of mine he found a set. And he's like, hey, I got these. You want them? I was like, yeah, sure. But you literally just had books like Alpine. And I kicked myself because I threw all this crap away at some point. And I'm like, why did I do that? But like Alpine would put out these beautiful books that were like an inch thick, you know, full books. And inside of it, it had all the white papers on all the radios. It had tips. It had troubleshooting. It was just, that's what you had. So like if you had a problem, you opened this book and you turn to your radio and you just kind of like go through and figure stuff out. And like it had like relay diagrams, and it would have like how to measure like a parasitic draw. Bosch's, the Bosch relay book was kind of like the Bible. I don't even know if you could still get that. It was just like Bosch put it out, and it was like 20 pages. It was like this big. And I think I have it on a thumb drive somewhere. And it just showed you like every possible way you could think of to wire up relays, you know, to make like a flashing light or a reverse door locks, or, you know, like in a Jeep Grand Cherokee, you needed 4 relays because you had to put you had to put 2 in each door, and it was a nightmare until these were before the smart modules came out. So you just kind of learned. It was a lot of just trial and error. And of course, it's funny. What I think was funny about that is there was a comment on like we just did a video about separate crossovers. So like Alpine, in this case, we used Alpine, how now they break the crossovers into pieces. So you don't have the big dumb crossover boxes. And one guy says, or you could just go active like a real installer. And I had to giggle because, dude, back then that's all you did was active. There was no passive. If you wanted to go passive, you had to build a passive crossover. Nobody wanted to do that. It's like, I could just buy another amplifier and an electronic crossover. That sounds like a win. Sounds like a win. I can turn a dial and get what I want. Or I have to like study and read and figure math.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those moments where you go, dude, I've been doing active crossover since before you were born, I'm sure. So slow it down, killer. The nice thing, and actually we were all happy once passive came out, because remember, at the end of the day, this is still a business and we still have to make money. And it was way easier to sell somebody a 4-channel amp to do front and rear with some form of a basic crossover in it than it was to sell somebody a punch 45, a punch 45, a punch crossover, and then a punch 75 to power some subs. Yeah, we made a ton of money, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, for sure. I remember those, the kicker setup with all the little passives in line and the.
Oh, they had those really goofy. Oh, that bad line. Yeah,
the inline ones. Yeah, on the board, no case.
Yeah, and then the funniest thing with passive crossovers, I always just laughed my butt off, was when people come in and go, "Hey, the lights in my door stopped working." And you're like, "What are you talking about?" No, I had lights that would blink to the music. My speakers cut off, and now they don't blink anymore. Because the passive crossovers would have light bulbs in them to absorb the DC that you were pumping through them. So everyone thought that was on purpose. Until, of course, you get the crossover, you pull it out, and the whole top half of the crossover would be melted because that light bulb never shut off. It's like, let's talk about gain.
Too much gain on the amp. I need more gain on the amp.
Like you said, it's only halfway up, bro.
It's only halfway up.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, let's get on to the next question. I know you answered your least favorite song that customers use to demo their system. What would be your most favorite song to demo a system on?
Ooh, so that changes depending on how long we let a song run for. So forever. Okay, so let's preface it like you don't have to like the song, because what you have to do is know all the characteristics of the song. So it has to be a song that you've listened to so much that you can go backwards and forwards and exactly what it's going to sound like. So like when you're talking about sound quality, it's like, all right, it starts out here, and then there's an instrument here, and then there's another instrument here, and then he's there, and then there's something that happens over here. Okay. And that's what you're listening for. It's not necessarily like, this is the best song. Oh, shh. I don't care about that. I'm looking for, or listening for, and you're listening with your eyes, for something specific. And we will run a song into the ground. So the last song we ran in the ground was Maroon 5 Sugar. We killed that song. Like, we ran that song for, like, I want to say, since it came out. We just finally switched that to something else. So we hammer that song. I hate that song, but we know exactly what it does. We just switched that up, which is funny because I blame Steve Mead for this one, because he always says hella cool. It was hella cool, bro.
Oh, it's no doubt.
Yeah. Well, that's the one. So was it Hella Good?
Yeah.
Hella Good by No Doubt is really a really cool song, because everybody knows what it is. It's old enough to where everybody has heard it, and you put it in a car. And so that's like usually the first song when I'm demoing the car is I'll let the customer sit and hear that. It's like, it's got a good bass track. It's got good mids and highs. It's got a lot of instruments that happen up high in the dash. So, SQ is commonly confused with wine and cheese. I like to call it, you have two types of stereos. You have wine and cheese and you have beer and pretzels. Which one are you? They're both fun. It's just your perception of fun. If you're a wine and cheese guy, fine, we'll build you a system for wine and cheese. But let's be honest, most people are beer and pretzels. So you have to find that balance between them, because you don't want to be too beer and pretzels, because then it's just like, why even bother with the DSP? So it's like finding that. So that song right now seems to be the one to go to. And then there's another one here that I like myself, is Lovely Day by Bill Withers.
Oh, Bill Withers.
Yeah, because when that song starts out, there's just a whole bunch of instruments, and everyone that's sitting in their car when they listen to that, you just see their eyes like go, ooh, because there's the beginning of that song is just so like really neat. And then, believe it or not, an oldie is LA Woman by the Doors.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the song, there's some distortion in it, which is cool because you're just seeing if anyone's paying attention. But they do that scratch across the guitar where it's like, and if you've done it right, the scratch just goes right across the dash.
Wow.
And you just watch these people do this. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bro. So
yeah, man. That's
what's your song?
I have several. One of the old ones would probably be like Higher Love, Steve Winwood.
Okay. Yeah.
And I like 99 Red Balloons.
Dude, I grew up with that song on the radio all the time. Yeah. I don't know if I could do that one.
Did you ever play Grand Theft Auto?
No.
That's what got me into that. I think it was the old one.
These and these are not connected. I have no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. So anything past this, which I sucked at this.
Asteroids.
Oh, dude, as soon as on Atari, as soon as it actually left the center and it started doing its own thing and you're like supposed to fly it, I just hit reset. I could spin it around in a circle and shoot things. Other than that, I was screwed.
Oh, man. I don't play games at all now, but I did for a while, and it was pretty fun. I'm trying to think. I had one more song that I'd usually. Oh, In the Air Tonight. I like that one.
Ooh, Phil Collins.
Yeah, I just like, it's when he's like when he says I remember.
Yeah,
it should get to that point of where it's almost too much to bear.
Yeah,
but it's not over the edge. So that's kind of how I know if I have it a little bit hot.
Do you have Hulu? I'm not Hulu. Do you have Amazon Prime? Video. So they have a series they do that is it's called like In the Album or About the Album or something like that. Yeah. And basically what they do is they take the album and they take the artist and they interview them about making the album. And that I think that's Face Value by Phil Collins is his first solo album. They talk about that, and if you get the opportunity, it's like a half-hour show, maybe 45 minutes. Strongly recommend watching it because I like watching that because it kind of helps me think about what the artist is intending when I'm supposed to be listening to their music. I don't like watching music videos because that kind of like ruins the experience for me. I know people go, what? Well, because I feel music is personal, and you should be able to hear a song and it take you to a specific place and time or a memory or an experience. And if you watch a music video, it ruins that because all you think about is that stupid music video. But watching something like that where you get the artist talking about that, and to me that's interesting as hell. So if you get an opportunity,
I'll have to check it out for sure. I love content like that.
Yeah, this past weekend I did a deep dive on Pink Floyd because I'm a pretty good Pink Floyd fan. I have a set of Pink Floyd Sennheisers that I played way too much for.
Did you have the Orion Pink Floyd amp though? The rarest Orion of all?
No. Oh man, I know. I'm not. I can't even get an Orion Beast. All right, because I'm not paying more for Beast than what they cost new.
Yeah,
and 90.
You ain't lying about that. I don't know how much hip hop you listen to, but Complex does a deep dive on theirs on certain songs called Magnum Opus.
Okay.
Their playlist, and they have everywhere from 50 Cent to some older artists, and they have everything on theirs. It's really it's exactly like you were talking about, where the deep dive.
Yeah, I love rabbit holes.
Yeah, man, that's how you got.
That's how you learn. I mean, honestly, that was going back to the original question. How do you learn? about car audio. It's a rabbit hole, self-taught would be the best way to describe, but it's because it's a rabbit hole, and that innate curiosity to just, you want to know why this is doing what it's doing and why this problem is happening. And the only way to do that is to dig in and figure it out. And like when I wanted to understand a relay, because there was always these pictures and you just wired it up to the picture. And I was like, well, why? A relay is an electromagnetic switch that just has a coil in it, and it pulls it over. So, you're doing this on a switch on the wall. There's a magnet that gets charged to a coil that does that same thing. And that's what a relay is. And so I pulled the top off of a relay, and I just sat there and stared at it and had to figure it out. And I was like, oh, this is why it does that. And so that curiosity is kind of what's carried me through my career. And I just always wanted to know how it worked. And if I couldn't figure it out, then I'd find somebody and ask them. And if they couldn't explain it to me, then, I would ask somebody else. And eventually, if you ask enough people, you can kind of get this picture of how this is supposed to be. And it's just taking this, and then you create the paragraph that you feel it should become.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, today it's easier than ever to get into this kind of thing because there's a million videos up there. A lot of them are horribly wrong.
Yes.
But there's a lot of very good videos out there as well. So it matters where you go for your videos.
Dude, the worst thing is when someone goes, like I've said it before, I love DIY guys' videos. The DIY audio guy.
Yeah.
Like he does it. He's freaking, that guy is like, he's got time. He does great videos. He explores every option. He does great camera work. And I can sit through it and I'll be like, all right, this was good. And I'll learn stuff because it's like, you always forget, it's like, oh, and I'll be like, dude, that's great. Like, I love his stuff. But then I'll have guys that'll do videos and they'll be like, they're always, hey man, could you watch my video? And I'm like, oh, don't make me watch your video. Please don't ask me to watch your video. Because I'm real critical. It's like, dude, come on, man. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I don't, all right, let's watch it. And it's not by any means do I think our videos are great and perfect or not. They're just, we have a formula. We stick with this formula. We know it works. We edit according to the formula. Obviously, when you're producing as many videos as we produce, not everything is going to be extremely perfect, but it's still, we still feel like there has to be a point to every video we do. There has to be a story that's in there somewhere. It's not just here. Every installation diary always has a point. But some of these videos, it's like you'll watch and you'll just be like,
they forget the story structure of a video. Even though it's an instructional video, you need to have
I mean, there's basic elements to everything you do. It's like you need a beginning, which explains what the heck is going on. So every install diaries, we went on a rabbit hole, by the way. I just liked a couple songs. But like an install diaries video has to have a beginning, and, I'll explain what we're going to do. We'll talk about some of the products, and then that beginning moves into the structure of what the rest of the story is going to be about, where maybe the problem that we're going to have or something we have to overcome, something we need to look at. And then it just kind of unfolds into these micro little short stories from there, that it's like you have the bigger problem, which is the whole encompass of part 1 through whatever. And then you have little things that are going to happen. So every video, there is a point to it, even though it's actually kind of hard to do because we try to make every video stand alone. But then if you grab all 5 videos, it's like it tells this bigger story. So it's like, and people just look at you when you explain that, like, what do you got, crack? Well, I mean, it's just car stereo stuff. It's like, but dude, it's like you're asking someone to take their time out of their day and watch your stuff. At least you could do is make it entertaining. And then like somewhere in the backside, like when they're not paying attention, teach them something.
That's how you do. You're like a magician.
Yeah.
You tell them 2 + 2 is 3. But then in the end, you reveal that the answer truly is 4. Oh, man. So I did have one thing to read. John Prock emailed me and he said, love the show you and Dean did. It was funny, entertaining, and I learned something too. Then he goes on to say, New York Times says a triumph. USA Today says a masterpiece. Good Morning America said something for everyone. So I appreciated that.
Yeah. I've been wanting, like I said last week, I was like, I've always wanted to do this show, to have the ability to bring it into, like, I play off of Fernando. Fernando stands next to me every day of the week. You do your show at Big D Wiz. You guys are buddies. You talk about stuff. You have BMX in common and something like that. Not being in this environment together, like, we'll talk once a week now. And to me, that's great because I don't know what you're thinking and you don't know what I'm thinking, other than that I'm probably going to be able to talk about something.
Yeah. So that's what all I do is like, hey, I just tee Dean up. I'm here. This what I'm like. What was his name from the dating game? Oh, Chuck Woolery.
Chuck Woolery.
Yeah, I'm just teeing you up, man, letting you go. Talking about, the whole thing that was titled was SQ, SPL, and SQL. What I meant by that is everyone has a perception, like you were talking about before, of what SQ is to them, what SPL is to them, what SQL is to them. So what are your thoughts on each subject as it pertains to the majority of the people you see? I would say land somewhere in the middle, most likely leaning basehead, maybe.
Well, so is SQL mean SQ but loud?
Well, it was actually like an SQ league. So it was strictly SQ, but it kind of, it's one of those terms that it gets taken over in the common vernacular, and now people think it's sound quality loud.
Well, okay, so I never did IASCA or any of those things. That was never in my cards. Like, I was selfish in the sense that I wanted to make music that worked for me and made me happy. So a lot of, like Jeff Smith, which everybody knows Jeff Smith, he's the opposite side of that. He was hardcore competition. That's what he did. So here they have a small but really nice SQ group of people. Nice guys, all of them. I've met a bunch of them. And they all go to, sit in parking lots, and it's very quiet. It's like going to a parking lot library, and they all they play their stuff. And Jeff is a judge. And he actually tunes a lot of their cars. Conflicts of interest? I don't know. But anyways, we won't go there. That's
looking at you, Jeff.
That's just that's something between Fernando and I, and we go, well, isn't that kind of, just move on. Just move. Sweep it under the rug.
Just like everything.
Side tangent, the sweep it under the rug thing. So years ago, some of you guys might remember Alpine had the CVA 1005. That was their first fold-out screen. And they had a 8063 alarm system that would integrate and plug into it. And you could get like readouts of the alarm on the face of the radio. And it was like a big selling point for them. It was the first alarm that was iNet and could connect to the radio. It lasted all of about 2 years, and then it was gone. The new radio came out. The 8063 was still there, but the new radio didn't have connection for the alarm. And so I said to the guy, the Alpine guy, I said, so man, what happened? He goes, so we were all sitting at the table, and we're debating this, and we're talking all this stuff, and that alarm was just sitting there in the corner of the table, and everything that we were trying to do just kept pointing at that alarm. He goes, so finally one of us just took it and set it underneath the table and said, okay, so if that's gone, and that was the end of that. Yeah. Okay, so back on focus, and that's why some features just disappear. By the way, if you're wondering why, that's what happens. It's like, this is really holding us back. Let's get rid of it. Jeff I said to Jeff, I said, hey, listen, and we shot a video on this. I said, hey, Jeff, there's this show coming up, and Fernando and I'd like to go, and I have an idea for a video. I would like to go and like film you telling us all about this. Because, there's a lot of guys out there that want to get into competition, and that's cool, because I think you should. It's fun. It's camaraderie. All these guys that sit there, they all know each other. They all like each other. They're all just hanging out in the parking lot. They're all shooting the shit, having a great time. They got coolers, kids, and wives, and it's just fun. It's kind of like when you guys do your meetups. Very similar to that. So he goes, come on, we're going to sit in some cars and we'll film some video and we'll listen to some music. I said, okay. So we sat in the cars, and I haven't heard an Iasca car in years. And we listened to the CD, and the CD is great and very lackluster. Like you guys had made the comment on with you and Big D Wood sat in somebody's car, and it was just like,
yeah,
cool. I have a little different perspective on that because I actually have to tune cars daily. So, you know, I sat in the car and I was like, all right, what are we doing here? Because like, this isn't there, that's there, should be there in my mind, but it's over there. What was going on? And he's like, all right, so think of it like this. There's this box, and inside this box are all these check marks, and this has to be there because to get that check mark, and that has to be there to get that check mark, and that has to be there to get that check mark, and this has to do this to get this check mark. And if all those things aren't ticked in that box, well, then you get a crappy score. So it's not so much about the sound quality of it. It's more about ticking the boxes is what I got from it. Right or wrong, I don't know, but that's my takeaway. So, you know, if that's the way you want to listen to audio, great. Nothing wrong with that. That's how you want to listen to audio. Majority of the people that come to me, they want to sit back, relax, and enjoy. And if like today, you know, we talked about headphones. Today I'm wearing an open back set of Sennheisers. These are the 559s.
Revo Next QT5s.
What's that?
I said Revo Next QT5.
Yeah. So I forget I got enough pairs. I'll just kind of work through them. So if that's how you want to listen to music, then go for it. But when I get somebody in, we have the conversation of what kind of music you listen to. What are some of your favorite songs? What kind of tweeter do you like? Because in my world, there's essentially two types of tweeters. There's a metal tweeter and there's a cloth tweeter. They both can be dome. Focal is an inverted dome. Focal is a cloth tweeter, but it's a hard dome tweeter. So like the K2 is an epoxy-based material that is like freaking hard as a rock. And so the K2 has a very unique sound. Different so than like say a set of flax that has that metal tweeter, and of course then the Access has a metal tweeter. You compare that to like a Morel, which is just a dome. Oh, hey, my bad.
Hey,
that's Mark. That was iData. They just finished their Lamborghini, I'm sure. Another thing. So you know we want to find that out, and different types of music will play well to those, and then. You know, once you figure that out, you get into the car and then you sit down and you do the tune. And, you know, you were talking about, like Kip was talking about the, you know, how close the key gets. And the key is super impressive, and it does get really close, really fast. You know, when we shot our video about it, Fernando and I were generally, like, I wanted us to hear it and have the camera on. So the first time we hear it, we're not faking it. We're a little delirious because it's late. But we were like, wow, this is really cool because, yeah, when you tune a car, it does take time, you know, and it does. It's not easy. And it's not like it's really hard. But there again, it's if you know what you're doing, like he said, then it's you know, I could do this and, you know, you're not going to do it in 10 minutes. Well, no, you're not. But that's what they're paying for. You know, when you buy a $1,000 DSP, that's, you know, they want you to touch all the buttons and make it do what it needs to do. But just because you're buying a DSP doesn't mean you're an SQ guy.
No, 100% true on that.
So, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that, the key, I think, like your video series sold me on the key. As soon as I seen that, I had to holler at Kip's like, yo, I need one of these keys, Kip. But like you say, you get 80% of the result for 10% of the effort at 30% of the cost.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
It's pretty nice. And like
it's nice until it's not. And that's the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, until you need to go to that next level.
Yeah. And 50 watts is fun, but 120 is better. But, you know, the nice thing about a key, which a lot of people don't understand, is you can use a key as a line driver.
Yeah.
So you can actually take that kicker key and put it into like a KX series amplifier, and now you're doubled your power, and or whatever it is you wanted to do. And, and it's like, there's no reason to not use the key as a line driver. It makes a great line driver. And then you're going to have, like you have your gain turned all the way down. Imagine line driving that into like a big 4-channel amplifier.
Yeah. Well, okay. I am line driving it into a 2-channel amplifier, and I had to turn the gain all the way down, and it's still not enough. I actually need to turn the key up a little bit so I can keep the volume a little lower, because it's still a little too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to keep in mind, like the kicker amplifier is only designed to take 10 volts of input.
Yeah.
So anything past that 10 volts of input is going to cause a problem. So that's where like an audio control LC1 would come in, that it doesn't exist yet. So, although I have one,
yeah,
they're not out yet. But I don't even know where I was going to go. Oh, I already lost that train of thought. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So this was a funny story. We had a guy come in, that loves Scar Audio. Sure, there's a ton of Scar Audio fans here. People always ask me, what do you think about Scar Audio? What is there to think? I mean, it's a great, affordable speaker. I mean, they make woofers that are just like, Paul sells a ton of that stuff. I recommend going with the better amplifiers, but hey, you buy what you can afford. It's whatever. I mean, if you can afford RP, get RP. And I always take heat, because I always tell everyone, don't run it at 1 ohm, run it at 2 ohms. So instead of buying a 1500, buy the 2000 and run it at 2 ohm instead of 1 ohm. And it's like, why would I do that? It's because it's a better way to do it. You don't have to tax that amplifier. And it just works better, and it's stabler, and it's
yeah, they paid for 1 ohm, Dean. They want 1 ohm.
They did not pay for 1 ohm. Trust me on this one.
Oh, they might have paid for half an ohm. Who knows?
Let me tell you what, man. Yeah. Okay, we'll just say you didn't. I know things. So guy says, listen, man, he buys the better big amps, the big ones, are the SX or whatever they're called. I don't know. And he's like, hey, I want you guys to put the system in. I'm like, it's really not what we do. We don't do loud speakers and stuff like that. He goes, I know. So I'll tell you what, I'll buy a DSP just to put my stuff in. And I go, all right, you win. If you're buying a DSP, we'll wire it up. We'll put it in. No problem. So, and there again, I'm not against put it in. Don't think anything like that. It was more of a joke than anything. I mean, if you're going to pay us, we're going to do it. I don't really care. It's not really what we do. It's like, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and say, oh yeah, I can make that. No, I have no idea. We never do a system with these speakers, because it's just not what we deal with day to day.
Yeah.
So we get it all done. And we bought a DSR1, which is the Rockford DSP. So you got to use your iPad. So, we got the DMRTA set up outside. We got the iPad, tune it all up. Fernando's working on something else. And when I'm tuning a car, I typically deal with the front, get that where I want it. I'll hop in the car, I'll take a quick listen to make sure I'm on the right page, and I'll hop back out, and I'll deal with the rear and the sub and mixing it all together and do all the tweaks. And, there again, like you said, it takes that hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. So I knew going into this that this car needed to be tuned differently than what we'd say tune our normal stuff for, because that's not what this guy wants. This guy's buying Scar. He wants, the eyeballs to
hurt the face.
Yeah, hurt me, please. Yeah. Are you Rick and Morty fan?
Yeah, man, I love that show.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Listen, we're like everything pretty much you like, I like as well.
So anyways, I tune it all up, and I have this look on my face. Like, hey, Fernando, hop in, tell me what you think. He's like, okay. Hops in, and I was like, holy crap, this thing sounds amazing. Like, oh my God. And I'm just watching him like this. I just have a scowl on my face, and I see him in there he's like sitting up, and he's like flicking through his phone. He's playing another song, and he gets real serious. When he's listening, he gets real serious. Like the Phil Collins song we were talking about, when I turned him onto that, man, that's like one of his songs. He's got to play that. He's got like a Frank Sinatra song, a Charlie Puth or whatever his name is. So he has all his own songs that he listens to. When I get done and I go, all right, your turn. You tell me what you think. And so he's listening to all his songs. He's like, He rolls down the window and he goes, dude, this thing's incredible. And I go, I know, right? Oh my God. We were both blown away at how good this car sounded. So for all you guys that are like, yeah, you can. You have to put the time into it. And yeah, but everything should have a DSP.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. Whether it's in a head unit or a small in an amp or just some form of DSP.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, it was hilarious. I mean, yeah, I was laughing yeah. And the guy loved it. The guy sat there and was like, dude, this is exactly what I wanted. So it's funny part now is everyone has to wear a mask. So it's like I still have to go sit in the car and okay, we've had the car for 2 days. We've been everywhere in this car. We clean the cars, we sterilize the cars, we vacuum the cars, we do all this stuff to these cars. So by the time we're done and I have to sit in the car with the customer, he's got a mask on, I've got a mask on. If anything, he should be more afraid because we've been touching his car in places that it ain't been touched ever before. But I have to sit in the car. And so normally I'm just like watching the people, I'm waiting to see a smile on their face. But now with these damn masks, I can't see the smile on their face.
You gotta watch the eyes, man.
Yeah, you're just waiting to see like their cheeks go up or something, and it's like, and this, some of them will go like, if you could see my face behind this mask, you'd see how smiling I am right now. And it's like, okay, cool, because I mean, really, that's the carrot for us. It's like we've spent all this time, we've bled, we've cut ourselves, we've not slept, we've put all our everything into everything. And we just the smile at the end is really the only thing. I mean, yeah, sure, we get a paycheck. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's it's what keeps the lights on. Apparently, can't afford good internet, but that's that smile or that is what makes it worth it. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and guys like that, if I'm helping somebody, I always leave them room on the bass knob. Because as my buddy put it, JDR, he says, sometimes you got to pour a little gravy on. No matter if it sounds good or not. You need a little gravy there just in case.
Well, what we would do is audio control makes this thing called a DQ61. DQ61 is like an LC7i, which everybody knows what an LC7i is. But what made the DQ61 unique was it was more, they have another piece called an LCQ1. Which is an LC7i that has a 6-band EQ for front, 6-band for rear, 5-band for subwoofer. But this they're all analog, so it's like super cool. Well, this was long before the DM608, their trunk mount DSP. But what's cool about it is it has 2 channels of time alignment, so you can add delay to one of the channels, so you can get a center image, and then you can add delay to the subwoofer, so you can move the subwoofer forward into the front of the car. And there's a button, the bass knob turns it on and off. So what we would do is we get it all tuned up, which is analog, so it was a lot of fun. And you get it all tuned up, and then you'd hit the button and shut it off, and then you'd pull it around front. And then when they came, you'd listen to the car, and they'd be in there and be like, yeah, man, this is cool. And you go hit the button. And you hit the button. So did you on off with the key when you had it?
Yeah. You got to. That's required when you do it.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. So with the key, you can hit the little microphone or hit the little on-off button, and it'll turn off everything and turn everything back on and off. So the whole idea is that you can be like here, and then here, and then here. So we would do that, and it was like people would be like, oh my God, wow, and it's like, yeah, there you go, bro.
That's the way to do it. Like, you just started off with get them a little bit less than what they expected, and then you hit the turbocharge button, and boom.
We've only had to turn a kicker key off once. We had a lady come in and she just, hey, El Fuego, thank you so much. Shout out to Boring Life of Dean and Haley.
Yeah, man. I've not seen that.
Yeah. She was listening to it. She was telling Fernando, she was like, I don't know, it just sounds really different. And she was an older lady and was just used to having sound coming from here and coming from there. So Fernando goes, hold on a second. He plugs the mic in, turns it off. She goes, that's it. That's what I want. I was like, okay, cool.
Wow.
It's like, hey, and trust me, if we get an older gentleman that comes in, that is used to driving a Cutlass Supreme, we're 6x9s and 3.5s.
Yeah.
You get in his car and he's got it faded to the rear. Well, he doesn't want front stage. He wants this surround, as he calls it. I want to be cap. You know, what you want is really freaking loud rear speakers and something coming out of the dash that's basically highs. That's what you want. Like, they never moved out of the 70s. They heard that and they were like, this is the best.
That's quadraphonic sound right there.
I was like, what? So when we get those guys, it's always amusing because normally, like, when you sit in a car after I've tuned it, like, if you go like this, you can hear the rear speakers. But if you just, you know, you got to be like, oh yeah, there they are. Because I don't want to pull away from this experience. You know, it's like I always describe it to people is when you go to a concert, you don't walk in backwards.
Yeah.
Right. You want to hear like if there's a wall behind you, you want to hear the sound reflecting off of that maybe, but this is what you want. But those guys, no, they want to walk into the concert backwards.
Yeah.
So, you know, we always tune it a little differently for them because it's all about the experience. So it's like the hard part is when you get a car now that has really small speakers in the back, because a lot of these guys like their Corvettes. It's like, you have a 5 1/4 in the rear, man. We can't really make it that loud.
Just born bullet tweets, man, and pro.
They don't like that, man. They don't like the bullets. No bullets.
Who likes the bullets, man? Nobody likes the bullet tweets.
Bullets are made for guns.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think the bullet tweets are made to hurt people. That's why it's people that like them. Yeah.
Disclaimer: I have nothing against guns.
Yeah.
Nothing against guns.
You're fixing to get flamed up, bro.
I got an M60 right there. I don't have any children in the house.
Oh man. You know, that's kind of the dirty secret about SQ. And I say so much stuff on YouTube that I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I don't like SQ competition cars. I think they sound flat, and I always want to hear their personal tune. Yes. You know, they all listen to their Ayaska or Mecha tune, but I want to hear the music they play, their tune, because they all have got it. Almost all of them have a setting for their own personal tune.
Yeah, but you know, it doesn't stray too far from it though. It's like they're almost afraid to get too far out of the box sometimes. Because I've heard some of the personal tunes, and they're not that much better. They just sit there and you go. Jeff and I sat in this guy's Silverado one Sunday, and he's just, you know, he's like, hop in, tell us what you think. And I sat in there and I'm like, where the hell is the mid bass? Like, there is no mid bass at all. And we got out and Jeff goes, where's the mid bass? And he goes, oh man. So I got like this weird rattle and I had to keep turning down the mid bass until the rattle went away. I'm like, you know, that makes sound true. He goes, dude, these doors are dead. And, you know, like he bangs on it. It's like, it was as hard as a rock. And I'm like, well, okay, great. But clearly there's something that is still making noise. Find it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate vibrations as much as the next guy, but you know, in a normal world, it's like, what do you want, mid bass or a little bit of boo? Yeah, we all hate the boo. Turn it up louder. Boo's gone.
It's probably a paper clip somewhere that he can't find. It's usually something like that. Once I've done my doors all the way, what is rattling? There's something rattling.
Yeah. Back to the gun thing. So my dad is a retired cop, and he's also a concealed weapons trainer. So just to give you an idea of the mindset, he would train people, and what he would do is he'd take his gun, he'd set it on the counter in front of everyone, and he would aim it at the class, and it would just be sitting there and in a holster, locked, whatever, who cares. And at some point during the class, he would say, okay, so, you know, because there's always somebody that's kind of scared of guns for whatever reason. He'd be like, listen, there's been a gun pointed at you throughout half this class. It's right here on the counter. A gun by itself can't hurt anybody. It's not until it gets into your hands that it can create these problems. So the one guy said, guns can't possibly hurt anyone 100% possible. That's exactly correct. A gun, unless it's falling off a shelf, because there's an earthquake.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You know, so, and that would be an act of God. So we can blame it on him. All right, enough gun talk. I'm not political. I don't want to.
Oh, man. Damn it, Dean. You've ruined the whole show, and it's the second episode, man.
Let's talk about bikes. I got a bike right here.
Oh yeah, what is it?
No, that's we can't do cool things like run wheelies on this one.
Oh,
it's got flat tires. It hasn't been ridden in a while.
Yeah, you got to get those run flat, the solid tires that weigh like 1,000,000 pounds.
I don't have to do it. I would much rather run. I'll stick with running.
No,
I bought this because I hurt my leg and I could ride, but I couldn't run. So I was like, all right, I'll ride for a while. And then as soon as I could run, I was like, I'm done with that. Because you got to go really far on a bike in order to get the same workout as running.
The run. I wish I had it in me. I wish I had it in me.
Yeah. All right. Put third layer on your door like me, then your door motor has to be replaced.
No. That's one thing, man. Like when I don't want to modify a vehicle that's going to make hard to replace something because I don't drive new vehicles myself.
Yeah.
My wife does.
Well, that's kind of like our policy. Like I know everyone's seen the Instagram pictures where people will put up a piece of sound treatment as a weighted mat or whatever the hell you want to call it, and it covers the whole outside. It covers the whole door, and it's like, okay, listen. At some point, somebody is going to have to get behind that. Okay, for something. There's eventually something is going to break. The window's going to, the regulator, the door lock. Who the hell knows? So they're going to have to rip that off. And then the argument for that is, well, I'll just sell them a new sheet. And it's like, so then you got to take the door panel off again. So, when, our policy is like when we sound treatment a door, it has to be 100% serviceable, meaning whatever we've done can affect, like if that door breaks. I don't want to deal with that customer having to come back because, the dealer saw this, we can't fix it. It's no. So like if there's a screw, if there's a bolt, if there's a clip, they're still 100% accessible. And it still has to be, if it's your own thing and you're doing it and knock yourself out, do what you want.
You'll just regret it later when you inevitably have to replace the door motor.
Dude, that stuff sucks to get off.
It's a nightmare. It is a true nightmare.
I love it. I love it when someone I did it myself, and they'll pop their trunk and like you see the carpet and then you see all the silver shit
on
coming out from around the car, and you're going,
yeah. That's when I was doing my wife's trunk. There's an area that's not carpeted.
Yeah,
right at the bin on I'm sure you've done a million of them, a 2013 Sonata.
Oh yeah.
So she was like, well, why weren't we putting sound dampening on that? And I was like, well, because she was helping me. I said, well, I don't want this to be seen for one, and this has got 2 bins in it and all kinds of this isn't the problem. Everything else is the problem.
So what we would do, because that was obviously a problem, what we would do is we'd put the roadkill on it, and then we'd take that backed carpet.
Yeah.
And I would spray it. At first off, I'd cut the shape that I needed. I'd spray it. I'd roll the edge so that it had a nice clean edge, and then I'd brush in more glue. I'd brush in the glue so that I could get it exactly where I wanted it, and then I would stick that over it. So it's just it's just contact adhesive. So if you need to, you can rip it right off. But usually that's going in an area that is never going to come off anyways.
There's nothing to be done with it.
So I would just make a carpeted panel to go in there out of the carpet because it's back. So I mean, you can actually punch it and stretch it and get it to do whatever you want. Because back in the day, as it were, cars didn't always come with those things. They didn't have that was an extra feature. It's like, or you'd sit there and you'd have to sit there and do a sound treatment job so all the logos went in the right direction and everything was perfect, so that it's like they flick it up and it's like, hey, look at this cool artwork that is sound treatment.
I got the mosaic style and all that. I'll tell you what, I do got a funny story about once I changed this whole system up in the Hyundai. My wife's saying, okay, like the amps are on the back of the seat, there's nothing on the floor, nothing for her to worry about. Super jazzed about that. Got her in. I was like, all right, now listen to it. Gets in the car. I do kicker key tuning on and off. She's like, yeah, sounds the same. Get out of here, dude. Get out of my face right now.
Haley's got the key in her car. And I was like, dude, doesn't that sound great, man? She's like, yeah, Dad. Sounds awesome. Way to go.
Yeah. Thanks.
She got mad. She got mad because when we had the quad box, which you were going to ask me about. So
I forgot.
Paul bought the quad box.
Oh.
So it was cheaper for him to buy it than for us to pay to ship it back. So they just gave him a deal like, hey, we'll give you a deal, Washington, and just pay this. So he bought it. I don't know what he paid for it. I didn't get involved with it. They didn't ask me if I wanted to buy it because I probably would have bought it. So I was kind of happy that they didn't because it's like I don't want it. But no. So but at the end of the time when we had the quad box, Sound Digital came to us and they were like, hey, we have these prototype amps. Do you think they would mind if we tested them with the box? And, I called up the engineer that sent us the thing. And he was like, yeah, no, go for it. I mean, yeah, beat the shit out of it. What's the worst you're going to do? Break it? I mean, whatever. At least we'll learn if you break it. So I was like, okay. So we put the Evo X 3K on it, and that was awesome. And we had that on there for like 3 or 4 days. And then we took that out. We put the 5K on it. And the 5K was stupid.
Did you break 150 on that? That was a question we had last night. I remember seeing like 148.
We did a couple 148s. Like we were hitting in the 40s with the doors open and all this stuff, like just having all kind of.
He doesn't want it, but he wants it.
Oh yeah, exactly. But totally. Oh no, dude! Like when we were in the parking lot doing those jam things with all the kids, yeah, it was just. I mean, we weren't even trying. It was hitting 140 something. So I mean, it's like, dude, it's like you could buy this and be in the 140s without even doing anything. So it's like silly. But there was one time when it went above 150, and Fernando reached up to grab it, and when he did, he reset it.
Oh man!
And I was trying to get it the angle, and he's like, "I'll get it," and I was like, "No!" I was like, "Why did you do that?" And there was one time where we think it glitched because it came with like 163, and I was like, "There's no way this hit 163." But that was with the 5K, and we tried again to get it to do it, but it couldn't. So it was also right at the beginning when we had a nice full battery and all this other stuff, but. So we do have it doing 163, but I take that with a grain of salt. And we even say in the video, like, yeah, I mean, okay, sure, maybe. I doubt it.
Someone took it to the back of the mic.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt. But when we put the 5K on it, that was like, I don't do big SPL systems anymore, and that was scary because what that was doing to that car was just not nice.
No.
So she was going out of town that weekend. So we took it after we filmed the video with the 5K in it. We took it all apart, and so that she could go on a trip and put her L7T back in it on the Key 501 on it, which we were using the T501 as the line driver for everything because like why not? Turned the gains back up, got everything back to where it needed to go, which was easy to do because I marked it with a pencil, so I knew where it needed to be when I was done. And then she was like, I got it home and she's like, "Do you gonna put it back in when I get back?" And I go, "No, we're done." "Well, I never got to hear it with the big amp." And I go, "Yeah, but we're done." She goes, "You can't put it back in?" I was like, "Dude, we already took out the power wire. We did everything. We're done." She's like, "Well, that sucks." And I was like, Dad. "You were complaining that you had it in your car for a month." She goes, "Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
But the thing is, she tasted is like her friends thought it was cool, and she immediately thought it was cool because we had a big blanket over the back of it so no one could see it because I didn't. I had to give it back.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have it to give it back. So her friends would be in the back seat. They'd be like, lifted. "Oh my God, what is that? Can we hear that?" "Yeah, sure." And they're like, "Oh my God," all these dudes, just like, it's like, "I'm in heaven." And so she thought that was really cool. She kind of got that itch, now she's back to this little thing and she's like,
yep. That's how it gets, man. That's, back in the days, I told you you'd get girls with bass, but it turns out girls can get guys with bass. It doesn't work.
Oh yeah. Around. Oh, totally. I mean, so I had this. This was back in high school. My friends wanted to hook me. He's like, "Hey, I'm dating this girl. She's got a friend." That whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So this girl,
you dove on the hand grenade.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Dude, it blew up bad. and I threw it out. I threw it out of the car just as I pulled like a red Bruce Willis walking out of the car as it's spinning around in the back. The whole time we're like shooting pool, and she's just like, "Oh, you're one of those guys that have to stare in your car. Oh, I don't want to play it so loud. I don't want to do this. I don't want to." And you're just like, we get into the car and we're driving. This is when we actually go on the date. And she's literally going through my cassettes like a freaking jukebox. But I love this song. Oh, play this. Oh, get it to that. And the whole night, I'm just like. So at the end of the night, it was like, all right, bye.
Yeah.
Never called it. I was like,
have you seen the movie of Steve Carell? Where his wife's talking about she cheated on him. And he's like, if you keep talking, I'm getting out of the car. And then she keeps talking, and he just opens the door while they're driving and dips out.
Oh, I felt like doing because she's just like,
yeah.
Oh, the bass is amazing. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Oh yeah, totally. That was the best part of when they said that line in the movie.
Yeah.
Straight out of Compton. When you're like, oh, that's where that came from. Dang, very cool. Very cool. All right, I think that's it. Is that an hour?
Yeah, that's an hour and 6.
Oh well, heck, we better say what we need to say.
All right, I'll finish it out, and then you could finish with anything you got to say.
Hit it.
All right, so if you have topics for next week, Thursday, same time, same bat channel, same bat place, send them high5egg@gmail.com. Now, I did get a lot of tech questions like, can I put this and this? This problem's this. Dean's got 3 shows to do that on. This isn't that show. I also got a bunch of, you should have this guest and this guest. We both have shows that have guests. That isn't this show. We just want good topics to talk about, things we love, things we hate, fun stuff. So send those. And I also bought the domain. I haven't forwarded it yet. So it's reversePolarityShow.com, and I'll just forward it to the playlist to all of these. So
look at you.
We're ready. We're ready for next Thursday.
Wrapping this thing up. I'm going to throw out what we got going on. If any of you guys are interested in Kenwood or JVC, last night we had Seth Hostetter from JVC Kenwood Corporation on the YouTube channel there at 5 Star Car Stereo, where we talked about all the new 10-inch. We had them on display. We got to touch them, feel them, talk about them. He did a great job. I just sat there and was amazed by all of it, which isn't my thing, but being amazed was, but just like, I was way fun. So check that out if you want to learn about those. Those I think are going to start shipping any day. I think next week or the week after, you'll be able to get your cool 10-inch radio. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock on Dean and Fernando's Car Stereo Clips on YouTube is going to be the news show where we pick news topics, and Fernando and I just tell you what we think about them and how they pertain to the world of car audio and how might affect your life.
Yeah, it was awesome. I got to catch it last week. I was off.
And we got this week is the last week that we're this is the last week to get a mug. So this is our last Ground Zero mug that we have to get away. So they did 4 shows with us, so that was really cool. Great guys over there at Ground Zero. Definitely check them out, groundzerousa.com. And then Saturday, of course, where he was talking about if you have questions and you want to have answers, you can find us on 5 Star Car Stereo, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the YouTubes. We answer questions for an hour, and it is. I am tired after that show.
You guys, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't need another one of the technical answers.
No, this is fun. I just wanted to do a fun show. You throw me softballs, and we just.
Yeah, man. Plus, we're both nerds, so it works out.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you watch Rick and Morty. We got plenty of things to talk about. We can talk about why we're calling it Reverse Polarity next week.
Yeah.
And also, we got Kip on 12 Eat Talk next Wednesday.
Again?
Yes, we're going to talk about some news that maybe you will know about before then.
Oh.
So.
See, because I have different relations with them.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's end the show, and we'll see you guys same bat time, same bat channel next week.
Yeah, later.